Your attention, please. The Chief Marshal will now proceed with the commencement exercises.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and stand in front of your seat, gentlemen. For the national anthem, please join us in the singing, which will be led by Cantor Bernard Beer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare was bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please remain standing. It is a wonderful tradition at Yeshiva University commencements that the invocation is given by a parent of a graduating student. This year, the father of Beth Halpern, who is a candidate for the degree Bachelor of Arts from Stern College for Women, will deliver the invocation. Rabbi David Halpern.
The words of Rabbi in the Tractate Brachot find their echo in our hearts at this moment. Gedolah de'ah shenitna b'tchilat bracha shachol. The prayer for knowledge is first among the benedictions. And in truth, the central blessings of the daily Amidah begin, Ata chonein la'adam da'at u'melamed le'enosh binah. Thou favorest man with knowledge and teachest mortals understanding. Our first words of praise to thee at this moment, O God, are in gratitude for thy gracious gift of da'at, of knowledge, and binah, understanding. Yeshiva University has been the source of education, scholarship, and wisdom for the graduates ranged before thee, about to receive formal recognition for their years of study. These students have sat at the feet of renowned scholars, dedicated teachers all, and were nourished by them. But Yeshiva is much more than a place of secular learning, much more than a fount of science, mathematics, philosophy, the arts. Today is a Yom Tov of sorts, a festive and joyous day. And at the conclusion of the Sabbath and holy days, that same first prayer of the Amidah includes the following phrase, Tanu l'madat Torah techa. Thou hast favored us with a knowledge of thy Torah. Yeshiva is first and foremost a Makom Torah, where the eternal truths and ideals of Torah are taught by Roshei Yeshiva Gedolei Torah, Torah scholars who not only interpret and impart the values and norms of our people, but serve as role models of ethical life and profound commitment to fellow Jew and fellow man. This was the vision of its first presidents, Dr. Bernard Revel and Dr. Samuel Belkin, Zichronam Livracha, of blessed memory. And it remains the ideal of their successor, Dr. Norman Lamb, Yivodei L'chaim. It is the institution where the essence of Torah and its standards permeate every school of the university. Every undergraduate and graduate student, from the candidate for the baccalaureate to those who will receive their master's and doctoral degrees, Each one, in his or her time at Yeshiva, has experienced Torah as an ethical and moral force, shaping his thinking and personality. We ask thy blessing, O God, upon all who are here assembled, officers, faculty, graduates, parents, and guests. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and King. Hachel aleinu hayamim habaim likratenu l'shalom. Grant that the approaching days will herald an era of peace and tranquility for Israel and for the world. That it be a world in which our graduates will make their significant contribution to the betterment of mankind. Amen.
Please be seated. Mr. President, I have the honor to inform you that the 55th annual commencement exercises of Yeshiva University are now in session, and that with your permission, sir, we shall proceed. The candidates for degrees will rise when the deans and directors call them, and we ask you to please remain standing at your seats until the president has conferred the degrees upon you. Each school will be represented on this platform by a member of the class who will receive symbolically a diploma on behalf of the entire class. All undergraduate degrees will be conferred by the President with a single proclamation. These are the degrees in course from the undergraduate schools. Candidates from the James Stryer School of General Jewish Studies will be presented by the director of the school, Rabbi Benjamin Newton.
Mr. President, I have the honor of informing you that B'li Ayin Hara, 40 students have completed the required course of study for the Associate in Arts degree at the James Stryer School. These students, who have taken a comprehensive program of basic Jewish studies, have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that this degree be awarded to them. I ask each student to rise as I call your name. Brian David Aronow, Alejandro Jose Blacker, Jonathan Dirk Blank, Kurt David Froelich, Roy Margolin Graber, Michael Allen Katz, Alan Jacob Mobsas, David Scott Paul, Richard Stephen Rosen, David Daniel Rubenstein, Todd Barrett Seufer, Eric Stephen Strauss, Michael Craig Weinstock, Adam Gleischer, Joel Jerome Laurie, Michael Edward Odinsky, Zev Ephraim Pat, Stefan Randolph Stadlander, Lawrence Ari Adler, Eliu Davidoff, Eric Joseph Eves, Jeffrey Ira Golden, Boris W. Goldenberg, Mark Kissen, Howard Michael Kurtz, Jonathan Daniel Liederman, Peter Benjamin Marcus, Barry Mark Nove, Wayne Zev Odinsky, Hy Pomerantz, Joseph D. Rothman, Ronald Gary Schwartz, Eric Michael Siegel, Stuart Joseph Simon, Beryl Timus, David Mark Wasserman, Mark Israel Weiss, Simon Rice, Mark David Wertheim, Jan Wolfson. I am pleased to call on Mr. Jonathan Liederman to represent the class.
Candidates for degrees from the Isaac Breuer College of Hebraic Studies will be presented by the Dean of the College, Rabbi Jacob M. Rubinowitz.
Three students, Eli Abadi, Sammy Benarush, and Sheldon Gladstein, have completed the requirements for Hebrew Teacher's Diploma. 8 students, Shalom Amselm, Jody Bardash, Avi Litwin, Jules Polonetsky, Rob Roth, Brian Thal, Benjamin Turner, Joseph Waba, have completed the requirements for an Associate in Arts degree, and Eli Abadi has completed the curriculum for the Bachelor of Science degree. Mr. President, the faculty of Isaac Breuer College has asked me to request that you award these diplomas and confer these degrees. I am pleased to call upon Mr. Rob Roth to represent the class. Will the students please rise?
Candidates for degrees from Stern College for Women will be presented by the Dean of the College, Dr. Karen Bacon.
Mr. President, I am pleased to present to you 140 outstanding women who have successfully completed the curriculum for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, 17 for a Bachelor of Science degree, 1 for a Bachelor of Science in Education degree, 18 for a Hebrew Teacher's Diploma, and 12 who have completed a course of study leading to an Associate in Arts degree. On behalf of the faculty of Stern College for Women, I respectfully request that you award these degrees and diplomas. Will each student please rise when I read her name and remain standing? Miriam Lynn Rothman, Karen Joy Siegel, Joy Leslie Helfer, Alyssa Mindy Elephant, Miriam Leah Epstein, Charlene Gwen Goldberg, Kowski, Rena Elaine Leibovich, Sabra Beth Marks, Gina K. Schultz, Ilana Unger, Francine Ann Ziv, Lisa Sue Berman, Judith Miriam Stern, Marilyn Miriam Vermouth, Adina Sarah Bloom, Michelle Beth Boker, Judy Clipper, Deborah C. Levine, Kana Goldstein, Laura Gross, Shira Aviva Isaac, Nava Perlman, Susan Schreiber, Gina K. Schultz, Gail Carrie Selefny, Naomi Ora Millen Talansky, Ilana Rachel Aharon, Emily G. Fedek, Judith Dara Berman, Tehila Bleck, Cheryl Cohen, Paula Susan Edelkreek, Suzette Barbara Fleischer, Lee Marcia Gross, Devorah Nahama Landesman, Alyssa Marla Liederman, Judy A. Nussbaum, Lori R. Pearl, Judy Claire Schuster, Phyllis R. Schwartz, Jacqueline Shirabi, Judy A. Taubies, Sarah Trusman, Phyllis Ellen Cloudhuff, Mindy Sharon Bashkowitz Ginsburg, Cheryl Ray Duman, Donna L. Goldstein, Sarah Jacobs, Gila Esther Klein, Sharna Santa Protas, Miriam Lynn Rothman, Helen Rebecca Siegel, Karen Joy Siegel, Alyssa Steinberg, Judith Miriam Stern, Melody Rebecca Sultan, Robin Fawn Zucker, Lonnie Burwick, Adina Sarah Bloom, Michelle Beth Boker, Gila Beth Botwinick, Cheryl Lynn Citron, Deborah Gladstone, Paula E. Goldberg, Pearl Esther Gutman, Joy Leslie Helfer, Rebecca Holtzman, Raimi Jennifer Isaacs, Judy Clipper, Deborah C. Levine, Miriam K. Naiman, Ora Dawn Nordliff, Michal Silverman, Ilana Unger, Miriam Adis, Ruthie Ackerman, Mariam Cohen Ambalu, Leslie D. Baker, Judy Bamberger, Michelle Debbie Benjamin, Stacy Barron, Rochelle Lisa Block, Stephanie Ethel Blumenthal, Lisa Carol Borsand, Shalamis Rivka Bramson, Charlotte Lynn Breslau, Sharon Mindy Brickman, Ora Carmi, Sherry Leora Chasen, Shari Riva Chesner, Sharon E. Chigger, Deborah Cohen, Louise Cohen, Phyllis B. Coleman, Lenore Sharon Davis, Miriam Frances Gottesman Dobin, Suzette Dradler, Alyssa Andrea Edelman, Alyssa Mindy Elephant, Miriam Leah Epstein, Victorine Levy Lauren R. Ruckelman-Shops, Judith Ann Saffer, Donna Carol Saltzman, Bonnie Jean Sandler, Susan Schreiber, Faylene Shoup, Gina K. Schultz, Judy Claire Schuster, Gail Carrie Selesny, Ilana Sarah Shapiro, Suri Schulman, Alice Robin Silverstein, Robin Bryna Singer, Jacqueline Deborah Smigel, Cheryl Michelle Sobel, Denise Elaine Solnicka, Alyssa Robin Spurn, Becky Lane Spurn, Pearl Stein, Debbie A. Sutton, Naomi Ora Millen Talansky, Linda Michelle Wachschall, Deborah Fana Wegline, Jessica Beth Weiss, Miriam Judith Weiss, Lisa Karen Wolfset, Pearl Leah Yadhit, Susan Beth Yellen, Esther Leah Zephyrin, Francine Ann Ziv, Sarah Dvorah Cohen, Suzanne Sylvia Dashman, Susan Beatrice Edelstein, Ellen Michelle Klein, Mandy Ross, Deborah Beth Silverman, Ellen Ann Solomon, Susan Lisa Unger, Shira Hamowitz, Suri Bashkowitz, Mindy Steen, Aviva Goldberg, Anita Cass. And for Teachers Institute for Women, Nophia Cohn, Dina Riva Kleinman, Phyllis Ellen Cloudhouse. I am pleased to call on Miss Ilana Goldscheider to represent the class.
Candidates for degrees from Yeshiva College will be presented by the Dean of the College, Dr. Norman S. Rosenfeld.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you 183 students who have completed the required course of study for the degree of Bachelor of Arts and 26 for the Bachelor of Science degree at Yeshiva College. As I call each student's name, will he please rise and remain standing? Arya D. Gelman, Stephen Charles Gottesman, Michael Allen Katz, Stephen J. Questel, Adam Gleiser, Alan Mark Strauss, Joel Barry Strauss, Hillel N. Axelrod, Daniel Benchio, Daniel Fader, Joseph Gottesman, Yoel Greenbaum, David Barry, David Gross, David Kestenbaum, Rami Kedushim, Louis J. Colum, David Bernard Kleinberg, Ben-Sion Shalom Myman, Shalom Yerachmiel Menorah, Bruce Robert Schwartz, Eric Michael Siegel, David C. Siegelman, Beryl I. Thomas, Joseph Aaron Tuchman, Benjamin Jacob Turner, David Sheldon Waxman, J. Mark Barbalat, Ira Birnbaum, Jonathan Dirk Blank, Seth Charles Davis, Stephen Davis, Joseph Earl Franco, Joseph Friedman, Kurt David Froelich, Michael David Gartenberg, J. Joseph Gottesman, Aaron Daniel Heyer, Dana Evan Kaplan, Jeffrey Allen Katz, Robert Andrew Katz, Abraham Kohan, Jeffrey Ira Kuritsky, Stephen Lax, Joshua Mayer Levine, David B. Margulies, Avishai Isaiah Mazur, Neil Ira Mitnick, Bruce Nathan Mosenkis, Neil Benjamin Rosenthal, Saul Asher Ruby, Philip Schnall, Shapsi Schreier, David Richard Schwartz, Alan Mitchell Schwartz, Elliot Mark Schwartz, Elliot Lyndon Schulman, Alan Mark Silverman, Sammy Strauss, Alan Isaac Polanski, Benjamin Joseph Tripp, Alan Mark Weissman, Maury Bruce Waldes, Moshe Ziegler, Shlomo S. Ziegler, Sakba Azarahian, Mayor B. Eckstein, Michael Felsen, Joel Martin Finkelstein, Kenneth Allen Fogel, Samuel R. Gallitzer, Jonathan Daniel Herman, Ariel Klein, Joseph Leonard Klein, Menachem Kur, Joel Jerome Laurie, Marvin Harvey Leventer, Philip Listowski, Daniel Jesse Mann, Moshe Orlean, Stephen Randall Statlander, Gary Allen Rubel, Samuel Abraham, Ben Ira Adler, Lawrence Ari Adler, Michael Elimelech Altman, Shalom Amsalem, Perry Warren Antelman, Gabriel Kalanimus Bachrach, Neil Bryan Bain, Jody Zames Bardash, Mayor Becker, Douglas Frank Behrman, Mitchell Samuel Berger, Gennady Bettelman, J. David Bienenfeld, Benjamin Avram Blau, Joseph Hubert Bloom, David Asher Bodach, Yaakov B. Barrow, Shragai Leigh Botwinick, Kenneth Brander, Jeffrey Andrew Chatoff, Adam Gabriel Senior, Daniel Jonathan Cohen, Stephen Elliott Cohen, Aryeh Michael Colton, David Andrew Cooper, Stephen Brett Crandall, Avram Avidan, Eliud Davidoff, Eric Joseph Eves, Nathan Edison, Jonathan Joseph Feldman, Martin Ira Feinberg, Raphael I. Fink, Stephen Ira Franco, Robert Michael Frolinger, Jeffrey Harry Gedgerman, Ronald E. Gerbert, Zvi Harris Ginsburg, Sheldon Gladstein, Benjamin Zev Gold, Jeffrey Ira Golden, Boris Goldenberg, Samuel Isaac Goldstein, Ronald C. Gross, Bezat Haikakian, Jeffrey Todd Harris, Zvi Hirschhaus, Howard S. Hurt, Perry Allen Huffbaum, David Allen Isaac, Alan Bruce Jatkowitz, J. Michael Jubis, Sri Kahana,
Daniel Sri Khan, Jeffrey Scott Kamenetsky, Noah Maxwell Katz, Stephen Michael Katz, Alexander Mitchell Kay, Mark Kisson, Martin Craig Clayman, Louis Joseph Chrysler, Jeffrey Stephen Cooperman, Howard Michael Kurtz, Howard Joshua Landau, Mark S. Landsman, Louis Israel Leader, Mark Adam Lerman, Jonathan Daniel Lederman, Benjamin Leister, David Akiva Azriel, Levin M. Levy, Harry J. Lyman, Avi Jacob Litwin, Peter Benjamin Marcus, Joshua H. Mark, Joseph Megiddo, Avi Moskowitz, Ronald M. Muller, J. Lawrence Nyman, Barry Mark Nove, Wayne Zevodinsky, David Joseph Pinhas, Stephen Howard Polinsky, Jules Polonetsky, Hy Pomerantz, Yossi Prager, Ira Michael Press, Richard M. Rabinovich, Edward Isaac Reichman, Alexander Ripkin, Adam Mark Rosenblum, David Lawrence Rosenfeld, Joel Irving Ross, Ram Roth, Joseph D. Rothman, Barry Simon Rosenberg, Larry Allen Schlussel, David Isaac Schoenbrunn, Daniel Judah Schwartz, Jonathan Renon Schwartz, Ronald Gary Schwartz, Nathan Irving Sofos, Joseph Judah Schmidman, Yisrael Moshe Sif, Stuart Joseph Simon, James Eddie Sitt, Franklin E. Smile, Stephen Irisoko, Michael James Striro, David Suna, Alan Charles Teichman, Brian Elliott Thau, Philip Tutnauer, Joseph Waba, David Mark Wasserman, Eli S. Weber, Stephen Allen Weil, Elchanan J. Weinbach, Mark Israel Weiss, Kenneth Robert Weiser, Sidney Weiser, Simon Weiss, Simcha J. Weller, Mark David Wordheim, Stephen Ari Weeder, Mordecai E. Weichner, Jan Wolfson, Howard Judah Zadara, David A. Ziegler, Sheldon Hanan, Naftali Herzl Hartstock, Howard Dov Jafta, Lawrence N. Kwass, Yaakov Gabriel Lewis, Daniel Elliott Patashnik, Michael Robinson, Mark William Sachs, and Jeffrey Weinberg. Mr. President, they have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Barry Rosenberg to represent the class.
You have
Candidates, please be in order and remain standing in front of your seat.
You have successfully completed the requirements for diplomas and degrees as prescribed by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences of the undergraduate schools of Yeshiva University. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby award you your diplomas and confer upon you the respective degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. As a token of this award, I cause to be handed to each class representative a diploma.
It is an old academic tradition that persons who have earned a bachelor's degree when they wear academic dress can wear the tassel on the left side. Therefore, bachelors, move the tassel from the right side to the left side. Bachelors, be seated. Mr. President, we proceed now to the conferral of degrees for the graduate schools. The President will confer all graduate degrees with a single proclamation. Candidates from the Wirtzweiler School of Social Work will be presented by the Dean of the School, Professor Samuel Goldstein.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you today 97 students who have completed the requisite course of study for the degree of Master of Social Work at the Wirtzweiler School of Social Work, and 4 for the degree of Doctor of Social Welfare. 18 postmaster certificates in gerontology will be awarded at a separate ceremony this afternoon. All names are listed in the program. I am also pleased to inform you that on Friday, August 1st, students will receive their degree of Master of Social Work through the block education plan. All these students have earned the approbation of the faculty. I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred upon you. I am pleased to call on Mrs. Tina Levy-Friedman to represent the class. Will the students please rise?
Candidates for degrees from the Berkhoff Graduate School of Psychology will be presented by the Dean of the School, Dr. Morton Berger.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting to you a group of students from the Berkhoff Graduate School who are candidates for the following degrees: 76 for the Master of Arts degree, 2 for the Doctor of Education degree, 67 for the Doctor of Psychology, and 15 for the Doctor of Philosophy degree. Their names are listed in your program. These candidates have completed all degree requirements and have been approved for the degrees by the faculty and the appropriate administrative officers of the Berkhoff Graduate School of Psychology. In view of these facts, I respectfully request that you confer these degrees upon them. I am pleased to call upon Daniel Rothenberg to represent the class. Will the students please rise?
Candidates for degrees from the David J. Azrieli Graduate Institute of Jewish Education and Administration will be presented by the Director of the Institute, Dr. Yitzchak Handel.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting 17 candidates for the degree of Master of Science, and 1, Dr. Sally Gladstein, the first woman candidate in the history of our institute, for the degree of Doctor of Education. Your program contains the names of the graduates. I respectfully request that these diplomas be awarded to them and that these degrees be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call upon Rabbi Tzvi Grummet to represent the class. Will the students please rise?
The Albert Einstein College of Medicine, represented by the Dean of the College, Dr. Dominic Pepera.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that 165 students have completed the required course of study for the degree of Doctor of Medicine at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. 32 have completed their studies leading to the Doctor of Philosophy at Sue Golding Graduate Division of Medical Sciences. 58 have earned a certificate from the Belfer Institute for Advanced Biomedical Studies, and 6 have earned a certificate from the Camp David Institute for International Health. Your program lists the names of these candidates. The degrees will be awarded at separate commencement exercises tomorrow at the... A representative of the class is present here today, Mr. Robert Van Amerangen.
Benjamin N. Cardoza School of Law is represented by the Dean of the School, Professor Monroe Price.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that 304 students have completed the required course of study for the Doctor of Law JD degree at the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law. Your program contains the names of the candidates. The degrees will be awarded with separate commencement exercises to be held Sunday, June 8th. I am very pleased to call on Mr. Joseph Lamport to represent the class.
Mr. President, the oldest of our graduate schools, the Bernard Revel Graduate School. Candidates will be presented by the Dean of the school, Dr. Leo Landman.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting to you 12 budding scholars, 9 of whom are candidates for the degree of Master of Science and 3 for the degree of Master of Arts at the Bernard Revel Graduate School. The program contains the names of the graduates. Mr. President, I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred, and I am pleased to call on Mr. David Horowitz, whose dissertation was an outstanding one, to represent the class.
You have successfully completed the requirements for degrees as prescribed by the faculties of the graduate schools of Yeshiva University, and by virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby confer upon you the respective degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. As a token of this award, I cause to be handed to each class representative the proper diploma.
When wearing academic dress, persons holding graduate degrees are distinguished through the fact that they wear the hood. Therefore, the persons who have just received graduate degrees shall place the hood over their shoulders. Masters and doctors, be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of Yeshiva University, Dr. Norman Lamb.
It is an old tradition, going back to the early years of this republic, for orations at commencement exercises to be held in Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. Thus, Harvard University, the oldest university in this country, for the first century of its existence, did indeed feature speeches in Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. Now, Greek and Hebrew are no longer spoken at Harvard commencements, only Latin. In an attempt to make up partially for this lacuna, Yeshiva University at the beginning of its second century will continue a tradition begun here 10 years ago, and that is not for an oration, but for a brief talk to be given by me in Hebrew. והמטלה השנייה שלי לדבר בעברית היא, אם בכלל יש צורך להתנצלות, שאם השגריר בנימין נתניהו בעוד כמה דקות ידבר באנגלית, אז אני אדבר בעברית. כמו שאתם אומרים לי מדי פעם לפעם, כאן זה עולם הפוך. ברצוני להעיר בקצרה על חג שבועות הממשמש ובא בסוף השבוע הקרוב. שלא כשאר המועדים, חג זה אינו נזכר בתורה כקשור לתאריך מיוחד בחודש. שאר המועדים נזכרים ליום ולחודש. למשל, פסח הוא ביום 14 לחודש הראשון, דהיינו חודש ניסן. ראש השנה זה ביום ראשון לחודש השביעי, תשרי. אבל שבועות כתוב רק עד ממחרת השבת השביעית תספרו 50 יום. דהיינו זה קשור לחג הפסח, אבל לא ליום מיוחד בחודש מסוים. מדוע? ברצוני לספר לכם, למסור לכם, תשובה של רבי חסידי מפורסם. הוא אומר שמה שעומד במרכז של חגיגת היום הזה הוא מתן תורה. והתורה היא, כמו שאנחנו יודעים, למעלה מן הזמן. ומכיוון שהתורה היא למעלה מן הזמן, אז זה נרמז בזה שהתורה אינה מזכירה זמן מיוחד בחודש, אלא כהמשך לחג הפסח. אבל מעבר למשמעות המטאפיזית של רעיון זה, מה זאת אומרת לנו? ואני חושב שמה שזה מגיד לנו, זה שאין הגבלה בזמן ללימוד תורה. לימוד תורה אינו ממצוות עשה שהזמן גרמה. תמיד צריכים ללמוד. זכרני מה ששמעתי פעם בשם אדם גדול מאוד שהיה המייסד של כל הישיבות באירופה ובארצות הברית ובכל העולם, מחוללה של ישיבת וולוז'ין, רבי חיים מוולוז'ין. הוא אמר פעם על הישיבה בוולוז'ין. הוא אמר פעם על הישיבה בוולוז'ין שאף על פי שכתוב הווי קובע עיתים בתורה, כאן בוולוז'ין הוא אמר אנחנו לא קובעים עיתים לתורה. כאן אנחנו קובעים עיתים לביטול תורה. בכל שאר הזמן אנחנו לומדים. לפי שהתורה אינה מוגבלת בזמן, היא דבר שצריכים לעשות תמיד. ובמידה שההתקדמות שלכם במדע או חכמה תלויה ושזורה ברמת התורה שלכם, במידה שאתם משקיפים על החול באספקלריה של הקודש, במידה זו תופס עקרון זה גם לגבי חכמה או מדע, אין הגבלות של זמן ומקום. ובכן, אין זה חג סיום, זה רק סימן של מעבר והמשך. רק תמצאו סיפוק בחייכם, מעבודתכם ומתוך האידיאלים הנשגבים שהצבתם לכם ושלמדתם כאן אצלנו בישיבתנו. Instead of translating, let me leave you with an expression of good wishes. All of you, men and women, graduates and undergraduates alike. A great philosopher and sage said, some lives are filled with success after success, and they are failures. Some lives are filled with failure after failure, and they are successes. My wish to you is, may your lives be filled with success after success, and nonetheless, may they be successes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor now to introduce my esteemed colleague, the distinguished Senior Vice President of Yeshiva University, Dr. Israel Miller.
We gather here today on the eve of Yeshiva University's centennial with renewed vitality and anticipation for the future. In the same way that you, our graduates, will embark on a new and exciting stage of your life, the university will also shortly begin the second century of its existence. In this context, one of constant change and renewal. I would like to announce the changes which have taken place in the university family during the past year. Rabbi Robert S. Hurt, a graduate of Yeshiva College and of the Bernard Revel Graduate School, who has served as an administrator for more than 20 years at our university's affiliated Rabbi Isaac Achanan Theological Seminary, where he was ordained, was appointed Vice President for Administration and Professional Education at REITs and its components this year. In this position, he is already working to strengthen the schools and programs that function within the REIT structure. Professor Samuel Goldstein, who has served on the faculty of the Wurzweiler School of Social Work since 1964, and in 1976 became director of its block program. In 1985 became associate dean, and in these past months has been serving as interim dean of that school. A gifted social worker and educator for more than 30 years, Professor Goldstein has served on the faculties of numerous universities. Dr. Lloyd Setley, who served as dean from 1975 until earlier this year, remains at Wurzweiler as Samuel J. and Jean Sobel Professor of Jewish Family Social Work. We wish them bracha v'hatzlacha, all that is good in their challenging endeavors. 6 members of our faculty, whose names are synonymous with the kind of personal education that we give our students, are leaving us this year, and we wish to bid them a special farewell. Professor Thomas C. Knudsen, who has served the Yeshiva College faculty since 1962, an instructor of German and director of the language lab, he was very dedicated to the students and always accessible, always available to help them with their studies of a new or an additional language. Dr. Seymour Lanoff, Abraham Woke Family Professor of English since 1977, has been a member of the YC faculty since 1950. A scholar who has published articles on such writers as Chekhov, D.H. Lawrence, and Thomas Mann, Dr. Lanoff has also led the scholarly revival of neglected American Jewish writer Ludwig Lewison and wrote more than 40 books. He was an early intellectual advocate of the Jewish state. Professor James Rinaldi of our Wurzweiler School of Social Work has earned a reputation of one of the most caring members of our faculty. The former director of the New York City Board of Education's Bureau of Child Guidance, he joined the Wurzweiler faculty in 1977. His soft voice and kind words have counseled many students, and his charm has been felt around the nation as he has traveled to many different communities talking about the Wurzweiler School of Social Work and its programs. Dr. Betty Rosoff, who started her cancer research at Montefiore Hospital, joined the Stern College faculty in 1968 and continued her research while teaching biology. She was a pioneer in her field, the first PhD recipient in biology in the history of the City University of New York. And articles based on her research have been widely published in scientific journals. Dr. Norman Schlesberg, who joined the faculty in 1979 after 25 years of professional experience in accounting and the law. Dr. Schlesberg was charged with creating an accounting program at the university, and he did just that. During his years at the institution, he has put special emphasis on job placement. Today we can thank Dr. Schlesberg for the fact that every YC graduate who majored in accounting and sought a job in that field has found a position in a prestigious firm. He laid the solid groundwork for a developing discipline at the college. He joined YU in 1949 and has served as Director of Athletics since 1979. The trainer of the 1960 Olympic fencing team, Professor Tauber was a pioneer in the field of physical rehabilitation. During his years at YU, the athletics program has grown to include such sports as soccer, swimming, bowling, volleyball, cross-country, baseball, and girls basketball. Professor Tauber's special humanity was also shown by the fact that he coached the university's fencing team for years and then hired another fencing expert, an immigrant from the Soviet Union, and took on the job as that coach's assistant. At YU, Professor Tauber will always be known as the coach. Their acknowledgement will long be remembered not only by the students and their colleagues, but by all who worked with them, all who respected their accomplishments. We wish them shalom uvracha, health and well-being, and continued accomplishment. We pause now to record within these past ways, with profound sorrow, the passing of our beloved Rosh HaYeshiva, Rav Nissen Halpern, Zichrono Livracha. May his memory be a blessing. On another and happier note, we are pleased to acknowledge the following alumni anniversaries being marked today. The class of 1936, marking its 50th anniversary. I'm pleased to see them. We're happy to greet Dr. Bernard Lander, president of Touro College, who is one of the members of that class. Yeshiva College's class of 1961. They had their 25th anniversary this past, and a very wonderful occasion. They contributed as their alumni gift 4 carols to the library with all of the high-tech equipment. We're grateful to them. And the class of 1961 of Stern College for Women, marking its 25th anniversary. We ask the representatives of those classes to rise with the alumni leaders present to note the occasion. Gentlemen, ladies. It is the Yeshiva University tradition to salute the outstanding undergraduates at the senior dinner, which is held the night before commencement. And last evening, the valedictorians and recipients of prizes were accorded honors by their peers and other members of the undergraduate family. These honorees are listed in your program, but we'd like to ask the valedictorians to rise when their names are called so that we may pay them a collective tribute. Rona Rashbaum, Stern College for Women. Yossi Prager, Yeshiva College. Daniel Mann, Yeshiva Program, Mazer College of Talmudic Studies. David Wasserman, James Stryer School of General Jewish Studies. And Jonathan Holland, Isaac Breuer College of Hebraic Studies. Another of our graduates, Louis Leader, was one of 15 throughout the country, honored yesterday by President Reagan with the Volunteer Action Award. Let's give these special young men and young women a round of applause. We extend our very best wishes to them for continued success and fulfillment in all their future endeavors. Last but not least, let us take a moment to join the graduates in paying special tribute to you, their parents, who made all of this possible. We join in that special round of applause for the parents, for the wives, for the husbands, for the children of our graduates. Mazal Tov.
The Mordecai Ben David Award. The presentation will be made by Dr. Leo Young, Professor Emeritus of Ethics and chairman of the Mordecai Ben David Award Committee, to Dr. Philip Birnbaum.
Sainted Enrico Gada, Italy's ambassador, a vital benefactor of Yeshiva College, 46 years ago established the Mordecai Ben David Foundation to bestow its annual prize of $1,000 upon that graduate of Yeshiva College or any other Jew who had contributed significantly to Jewish self-respect and happiness. Countless students of Dr. Philip Birnbaum, grateful beneficiaries of his work, thank the Lord for the spiritual and moral assets of his work. For decades, he has proved a model of 3 areas as a clear, simple, brilliant translator, metargemon, as an interpreter of intuitional excellence, Bino, as editor, solid and ingenious, of the classic literature of our people, from Tanakh to Rambam, Siddur to contemporary sages and saints. He covered the beauty, conveyed the moral uniqueness of Judaism to his enchanted students. It is a source of deep, profound satisfaction to bestow upon Dr. Birnbaum the 1986 prize of the Mordecai Ben David Foundation, with warmest brochos to fill out the Ichurim, wishes for many years of fine health to continue his blessed labor. Dr. Birnbaum.
President, we proceed now to the joyous occasion of the conferral of honorary degrees. Rabbi Arthur Schneier.
Mr. President, may I present a loyal alumnus and dear colleague and friend, Rabbi Arthur Schneier, for the degree of Doctor of Divinity, honoris causa.
You once said that Jews must understand the forces that affect Jewish life in all parts of the world, for today what happens to the Jews in one nation has an immediate effect upon Jews around the globe. Indeed, in this sense, all the world's a shtetl. As a survivor of the Nazi occupation of Hungary, you know well what can happen when we do not watch developments in other nations, and your leadership role in the World Jewish Congress and the Appeal to Conscience Foundation has allowed you to speak out for forgotten Jews in distant lands. You are a rabbi who has been drawn to leave the quiet and comfort of his study in order to board transatlantic jets and attend often tempestuous international gatherings. In those meetings, your presence has been keenly felt, for you are a rabbi who talks as easily to world leaders as you do to your own congregants. But even as you speak to leaders and think about the problems of our global society, you have also built a major synagogue here in New York City, Park East Synagogue, where you have served 5 years. As a highly esteemed alumnus of this institution, you have been loyal to your alma mater as well. Your international reputation has reflected glory on Yeshiva University, which, even after all your travels, you still consider home. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Divinity, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Mr. President, may I present a devoted colleague, counselor, and friend, Mr. Sidney Schutz, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
For more than 30 years, during a period of growth and expansion at Yeshiva University, as we have constructed new buildings and added new colleges, schools, and programs, you have played a major role in our pioneering efforts, clearing the path through the wilderness of city, state, and federal regulations. You have used your broad range of legal expertise to help us find answers to many intricate questions, and your counsel has always been straight to the point and straight from the heart. Most of the buildings on this campus were erected during the years that you have served as our general counsel, and our campuses in Greenwich Village, Midtown Manhattan, and the Bronx bear perpetual testimony to your dedicated achievements. Most of the students who sit before you today as new graduates of Yeshiva University were not even born when you began your labors for this institution, and yet they owe you, as we all do, a debt of thanks for your hard work, your commitment, and your love for Yeshiva University, a love that we all return to you today. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Mrs. Barbara Tuchman.
Mr. President, may I present a gifted and brilliant writer and renowned historian, the widely and justly acclaimed Mrs. Barbara Tuchman, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
You once said that you think of yourself as a storyteller whose stories just happen to be true. In your career, you have told us many true and exciting stories, and you have uncovered many common truths about the men and women who have played major roles in determining the course of history. In the multi-hued tapestry of history, you have found the golden thread that runs through all cultures, from ancient Troy to modern Israel, and your sharp mind has discerned patterns of behavior that have led humankind to triumph and to folly, to victory and to defeat.
as a woman in a field that once was a stronghold of men alone, and as a historian who has not burdened her work with academic pedantry, you have developed a distinctive body of vibrant literature, and you have received many awards, including 2 Pulitzer Prizes. Yet, even though you deal with the past, you remain at home in today's world, much like the nation of Israel, which you have called a future-oriented society where the past lies around every corner. We are indebted to you for taking us down the path of time. By reading your analysis of some of history's greatest decisions or lack of decision, we see clearly common human frailties and common human valor. Reflected in your clear mirror of history, we see ourselves. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Dr. Henry Halpern.
Mr. President, may I present an eminent economist and visionary pragmatist, Dr. Henry Halpern, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
As an economist and a leading member of the business community, your predictions on the course of the economy are eagerly awaited, often feared, but never ignored by the marketplace. For your forecasts are not the product of some intuitive wizardry, but the rational conclusions of a capacious and critical mind. Thus you have earned an enviable reputation as a scholar amongst financiers and as a prophet for the for-profit sector. But your interests are not confined to the world of business and economics. We here at Yeshiva University also know you as a lover of history, with a finely honed appreciation of the past. You realize that the greatest commodity we have is our history, and that only if we possess an understanding of where we come from can we truly know where we are going. A scion of 1,000 years of German Jewry, you are particularly knowledgeable in the glorious history of Ashkenaz, and proud of it too. But you also know that yesterday means little unless we today secure for ourselves tomorrow. That is why you have encouraged education at Yeshiva University and other institutions. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Honorable Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mr. President, may I present a distinguished diplomat, a courageous champion of Israel, the land and the people, a cherished friend, the Honorable Benjamin Netanyahu, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Coming from a home which celebrated academic scholarship, you have succeeded in the world of business and industry, served your people as a brave leader, and now marshaled your prodigious talents to represent your country in the arena of international diplomacy. As a representative for the State of Israel in the often volatile United Nations, you have been dignified and firm in the face of hostility, and unyielding in your quest for justice and peace. You have perhaps become best known as a leader against the international outlaws who take the lives of innocent men, women, and children
and then have the audacity to call themselves freedom fighters. In these days, when international terrorists ravish our peace and leave many world leaders quaking in fear, you are one who speaks out boldly and loudly against such wanton bloodshed. You know that real freedom comes only when our people are safe from treachery. You and your family have already paid a dear price in the battle against terrorism when your brother Jonathan, alav shalom, was killed while leading the historic raid on Entebbe Airport. You have been threatened yourself, but those threats have not silenced your strong voice, have not weakened your strong spine. You have succeeded eminently in applying your intellect and considerable personal charm in presenting the case for Israel cogently and persuasively in all forums. It is our privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Before we hear Ambassador Netanyahu, we have a message for Dr. Julian Mark. Please call your office for a medical emergency. Ambassador Netanyahu.
Thank you very much. I'm removing this simply so I can see you better. I'm deeply honored and deeply grateful for the honor that Yeshiva University and you, Dr. Lamb, and all your colleagues have bestowed upon me. I would, with your permission, like to use this opportunity to touch on some points that relate to the central purpose of this university, and I think to the central purpose of your lives as you continue them from this point. I'd like, however, to start with a question directed not only at the graduating class here, but in fact at everyone that's standing around here. I'd like to ask, how many of you were born in this country? Could I see a raising of the hands? How many of your parents were born in this country? How about great-parents, great-grandparents rather? And great-grandparents. I have one here, and one here. In other words, what we can see in this class and in the families that are here is that the experience of the Jewish community in the United States, and I assure you if we ask these questions in 100 other communities in the United States, the answer is the distribution would be the same. The experience is the experience of one family's lifetime, from grandfather to grandson. Now, my grandparents rather, came from Lithuania, and they had been there more than one family's existence. And yours might have come from Russia, or from Germany, or from Morocco, or from Spain. The length of time didn't matter. It didn't matter because those who are here, those who identify themselves as Jews, maintain that identity despite the passage of time, despite that transition from land to land. And the question is, why? Because if I ask non-Jewish communities in this country, ethnic groups, religions, if you track them over several hundred years, you will not see what we're seeing here today. Why? Why not? I think the reason has a great deal to do with the Jewish religion. The Jewish religion is has a unique bond with Jewish history, unlike any other religion. The history of a people, it's interlaced, it's interwoven. And you cannot maintain any aspect. You cannot be a faithful maintainer of the Jewish religion without being also faithful and conscious of that bond with a people and with a history. And it's a special bond. It's different from any other people who ever walked the earth. I don't mean merely that we had a different history. We did. But I don't mean our exile. I don't mean our displacement. I think that most people had some sort of displacement. In fact, the history of Europe and every other continent is littered with the stories of lost homes, lost lands, exile. What happened, however, in every one of these cases is one of two things. A displaced people either conquered a new land for itself or it assimilated. These were the two choices. And in the case of the Jewish people, we neither wanted, as a body, we neither wanted to assimilate, nor did we want to conquer a new land. We wanted, throughout these last 2 millennia, we wanted to go back, to return. And that is something that defied the rules of history. It never happened before. And we tried, and dreamed, and prayed, and we took the only vehicle that we had left. We lost our territory. We lost our sovereignty. We lost our freedom. We lost many of our rights. We had a vehicle of our religion. And into that religion, into our culture, our traditions, our folklore, our prayers, our dreams, our holidays, we fused into that vehicle our dream of return. I say even into our religion because, have you ever heard next year in the Vatican? Of course not. So while the Jewish religion has universalist characteristics, in fact it has some of the great universal truths that it brought to humanity, the belief in God, the belief in man's obligation to his God, and his obligation to his fellow man because of that larger belief, and the ideas of liberty and freedom and justice. These great universal truths were always tied, in the case of the Jews, in the case of the Jewish religion, to the history of a particular people, to the history of a particular place, to the desire to return to a particular land. And that is what tied 100 different communities in 100 different lands. That is what tied them through their history. That desire for Jewish redemption, the dream of Jewish redemption, through a Jewish return. You cannot understand neither Jewish history nor Judaism if we don't understand that unique and special bond, that dream to return and reestablish our life in the Jewish homeland. Now, individual Jews dreamed and prayed and fought and walked and sailed and traveled in caravans, in groups, in small groups, sometimes at great peril, to come to the land of Israel. It's an unbroken human chain across the generations. But we couldn't return in large numbers until the 19th century, until the collapse of the last of the, or next to the last of the succession of empires that ruled our land. And when the Ottoman Empire simply fell down of its own weight, there were men of vision like Herzl and Nordau who saw the opportunity for a great return. And this wasn't agreed upon by many Jews, or for that matter, of course, many non-Jews. There was, for example, Mr. earlier in this century said, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. The Jewish people are a fossil. They're a dead civilization. And fossils do not come back to life. And what he failed to understand was the tremendous life force, that vitality, that desire to return, that force of a river flowing back to its source, that tremendous force that made the return possible. And it wasn't something that many Jews understood either. You know, Theodor Herzl, when he began the idea of a Jewish state, he didn't find much response among the Jews. By the way, Herzl was 36 years old when he began. He was dead at 44. In 8 years, this remarkable man changed the course not only of Jewish history, but of all history. And next time somebody tells you about the immaturity of youth or the powerlessness of youth, you can point to Herzl. You can also tell them what you know about youth. It's a curable disease. But when Herzl began, Jew after Jew said, even believing Jews said, Herzl, Dr. Herzl, you're crazy. Dr. Herzl, you're crazy. And Herzl, who was a rational man, thought, well, maybe I am crazy. And so he decided to consult a doctor, a great thinker of the 19th century, Max Nordau. And Nordau heard Herzl out, and he said, Dr. Herzl, You may be crazy, but if you are, so am I. And from that great moment, the great collaboration of Zionism began, and it changed the face of our history. But it wasn't only Herzl who taught Nordau, it was also Nordau who taught Herzl. Nordau saw very clearly not only the promise, but the challenge and the struggle. He wrote in one of his late books about an experiment, a scientist who took a predatory fish, a devouring fish, put him in a goldfish bowl, and into that bowl dropped a little fish, and the big fish pounced and devoured the little fish. They put a little fish again, and the big fish pounced again and devoured the little fish. And next the scientist put a glass partition into that goldfish bowl. And as you can expect, the big fish, seeing the little fish through that glass, took aim, rushed into the glass, hit the glass, recoiled, whizzed around dizzy, saw again the little fish through the partition, rushed into the glass, hit it, and recoiled. And this happened for several hundred times until the big fish stopped. And then the scientist took out, removed the glass plate, and the big fish didn't pounce. Now, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I don't know if we've had our share of hundreds of pounces. I do know that we have built that wall until the day that we can remove it. And while we are struggling on our side of the aquarium, so to speak, we are building the kind of society that we have dreamed about and that the whole world marvels at. But I can tell you of all the accomplishments that Israel has had, of all its achievements, I think we've performed one incredible thing. I was for 5 years in the Israeli army. I served in a reconnaissance unit. And one of the things that we used to do in this unit was to walk, to march the breadth and length of the country, in the Negev, in the Galilee, in Judea, in the Shpela, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. And if you had a high mountain, the highest mountain, we'd climb it. And the lowest gorge, the lowest wadi, we'd descend into it. And when you're crossing and marching like that, the country, and your muscles are straining, and your feet are burning, and sweat is pouring from your brow, it's very difficult to feel romantic about a country. But it's not. And I can tell you, I remember moments at nighttime, in the moonlight, when we'd stand, maybe 2 or 3 soldiers, a handful of soldiers, on the foothills of Matzada, or En Gedi, or Bethel, or Shiloh. We'd stand there, we'd say absolutely nothing. We just stand there and let the sweat drip through our boots into that soil. And everything that had to be said was in the air. We came back. We came back. We came back for all those generations of oppression and degradation and humiliation and suffering and pain and the dream and the prayer, for all that came before us, for all who live now as Jews, for all the generations who will come after us. And it's a fantastic feeling. It's a feeling that you cannot get anywhere else. You cannot get in the 26 states, with all due respect, in the 26 states where you graduates have come from, or the 7 countries, other countries, that you have traveled to come to Yeshiva. You cannot get it, not because these are bad countries. They're wonderful countries, and America in particular has been the most generous and the best of all the diaspora. But I'm talking about your soul. I'm talking about where you feel you can live fully as a Jew. Now I can tell you one thing. History is not going to give the Jewish people another chance. There are so many miracles that a people can perform. And the miracles that we have performed are legion. But this is it. This is the last and great opportunity of the Jewish people. And therefore, as you sit here today, I want each of you to ask yourself a question. What are you doing? What are you doing to take your part in this great opportunity to contribute in ways that your parents, your grandparents, and 100 generations before them could not. Your opportunity to make sure, to guarantee, to build that second, or rather that third return of the Jews to their land. It's not a choice that you should make lightly. It's a choice that 1,600 of your predecessors, graduates of this great university, have made, and for this university is outstanding. But it's a choice that you make as you consider it. Consider it as your life in Jews, your life as Jews, your life as part of that people. Consider it with pride, not with arrogance, with pride. Say to yourselves, I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. And I have a history and a people like no other. And I have a future in that land, bright, with promise, and with challenge, with things that I can do that I can do nowhere else. This is a question, ladies and gentlemen, students, graduates, parents. This is a question that could not be asked in the same way in 100 other graduating classes, in 100 other campuses, because the people that you see here, the people sitting here in the black gowns, the bright faces, as far as I'm concerned, as far as Israel is concerned, in this country, you are the keepers of the flame. You are the bearers of that torch. So come and join us. Come and join us in the land of Zion as we build the dream of Zion for all the people of Israel. Thank you.
At this point, I request that the faculty marshals and student representatives join their respective groups. Ladies and gentlemen, the benediction will be delivered by Rabbi Seymour Weller, father of Simcha J. Weller, who has just been awarded the Bachelor of Arts degree from Yeshiva College. Please rise, Rabbi Weller.
Al tikra bonayech ela bonoyech. Call them not your children, but your future builders. El Chai V'Kayam, O living and eternal God, Chonen Hadat, bestower of all knowledge. At the conclusion of these commencement exercises, we thank Thee for having set the seal of Thy divine approval upon these proceedings. Humbly conscious of Thy divine presence, and proudly aware of the service that these newest graduates are destined to render to humanity, we thank Thee for the privilege of having participated in this imposing ceremony. This commencement has expressed the highest public testimony to the distinction of our graduates who have earned their degrees. We ask now for Thy beneficence and benediction upon our graduates, upon their proud parents, relatives, and friends who came to share the joy of today's impressive ceremony with the faculty and trustees of this renowned institution of higher Jewish and secular learning. We close these exercises strengthened in the knowledge that Yeshiva University has enabled our graduates to lift themselves from the abyss of benightedness to the summit of intellectual enlightenment and achievement. We are today filled with high hopes and expectations for them as they walk along the highway of life. Enable them, O God, to find the reward of their striving, not in what they get for it, but in what they become by it. As these newest graduates prepare to leave these portals, we are mindful of the distinction that is theirs, the high privilege of graduating during this centennial year, further focusing upon the unique character of the citadel of scholarship that combines Torah and Madda, synthesizing the best in religious and secular educational training. We are most grateful to Thee for placing the responsibility of Yeshiva University's development in the hands of a most dedicated president and administration. Upon them do we also entreat Thy benign benediction, as well as upon all those who, appreciative of Thy goodness and bounty, have endowed their means to make this great institution a temple of sublime service to a groping, bewildered, and beleaguered world society. And finally, thankfully, we also acknowledge today the privilege which was ours to gather under the banner of America's greatest institution of Jewish learning, the Yeshiva University, to bestow honorary degrees and thus signal homage upon our distinguished, renowned guest of honor. May Thy Spirit rest upon them and upon all those assembled, to the end that our faith in Thee will become a constant inspiration to service and not a substitute for it. We ask all this in Thy name. Amen.
Please remain standing and join Cantor in the singing of the Hatikvah. Mr. President, these commencement exercises are now concluded. With your permission, we shall withdraw.
Will the audience please be seated for the recessional while the participants leave the commencement area? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out that you are all invited to a reception being held in the Commons in Science Hall. That is the building opposite 184th Street. You're all invited to a reception following the recessional. A special reception for the graduate students will be held on the 12th floor of Science Hall. Graduate students on the 12th floor of Science Hall.